I'm Sally Williams and welcome to another Martogg Industry Moment. This morning I am joined by Ben McCulloch. Hey Ben.
Good morning, Sally. How are you going?
I am very well, thank you. And we're going to talk about a really interesting article that you found on LinkedIn. Obviously with higher levels of PET in packaging really being important, it's the topic of conversation. We need to see more of it. And this article really speaks to that, doesn't it, with regards to brands. It's entitled, Which Brands Hit or Missed California's PCR Mandate? And we'll put the link to that article below, by the way, so don't worry too much, everyone, while you're listening. But we just thought it'd be a really good conversation to have. What do you reckon, Ben?
Yeah, it's a really interesting article. And what it is, it's a progress report out of California with respect to PET packaging and looking at the brand owners who are using recycled content and meeting their targets. And I guess the important thing here is with their targets, there's also legislation in place and penalties that apply for those that don't meet their target. So the targets are 15% recycled content for 1st of January 2022, moving to 25% in 25 and 30% in 2030. So I guess it is a very timely article, given that we are lagging behind here in Australia, and obviously we do have a set of targets ourselves, but they're not mandatory. But what it shows through this report is that there has been a big lift and a big uptake in recycled content, and more specifically recycled PET back into beverages. And you put two and two, there's legislation in place that's really driving that change. I think the penalty, if you work it out, the penalty that applies per tonne with respect to virgin PET over recycled PET is about 650 Aussie dollars. So it's significant.
Wow.
And, you know, here in Australia, Sally, you're familiar with it, but there's been a recent exemption in place that enables specific PET waste streams to be exported offshore for a fixed period of time to really relieve the pressure of the amount of PET bales, and again, more through MRFs that's building up. And I guess at the end of the day, ideally, we would like to keep all of that post-consumer waste here in Australia, be able to recycle it, reuse it back into new and existing applications. You know, there's been a tremendous amount of investment to put equipment on the floor here in Australia to convert the waste streams back into food-grade recycled polymers. And we really need to see an uplift in recycled content amongst brand owners to avoid that from happening moving forward.
And the only way to do that is, like you said, legislation. So legislation in this country is letting us down. It's not recircular.
Yeah, I think legislation will lead to change. We're seeing that firsthand in California and other parts of the world, where there's legislation that's backing recycled content targets. We are seeing brand owners respond. And in this case, out of California, one of the big points is that a lot of brand owners jumped on board earlier to boost recycled content targets. And we know that, you know, using recycled content will decrease carbon emissions. It will lead to better recycling rates and collection rates. There's all of these benefits to it throughout the supply chain.
Let alone the fact that the consumer's looking for it, Ben, as well.
And that's a hugely important piece of the puzzle. You know, we need to rebuild faith amongst consumers in plastics recycling. You know, it's very often the enemy, seen as the enemy, you know, bit of packaging as opposed to glass, aluminium, paper, and so forth. But it is recyclable, can be recycled, and should be recycled. And Sally, it is Made in Australia week this week.
Yes.
I guess I would love to see Made in Australia from Australian post-consumer recycled plastic. That would be fantastic.
Yeah. Well, let's hope they move towards that. We need that there.
Anyway, but look, we'll post the article in the comments below so everyone can have a read of it. But I just thought it was really important, and it really showcased that where we have legislation, we will see change. We will see the uplift in recycled content, and we really need to see that here in Australia.
Yeah, we need to start taking it seriously here in this country as well, because obviously, I mean, this article out of California clearly shows that brands are around the world, and we need to do it here. And, you know, exporting our own out, it just doesn't seem to make sense. It just seems silly when we've got infrastructure here ready to support it. So
certainly when legislation was put in place to block the export of this product so that we were using it and being able to reconvert it here in Australia. So yeah, look, certainly moving forward, we need to see a change in the system. We need to see more support, and we need to see more recycled content being consumed from local domestic feedstocks and being used here in Australia.
Great article. Thanks so much. We'll put that in the link below. Thanks so much for listening, everyone. Ben, really good conversation, and we'll look forward to chatting again in the next industry moment.
Thanks, Alex.